Harry and Ginny. They are my favorite couple and my favorite series. The sad thing is that those who have only seen the films will question me on this because they are just absolutely awful on screen. They have no chemistry, their relationship came out of nowhere, and they are so awkward.
Shoelace.
The film version of these two was just not the couple I fell in love with. So today, I'm going to go through their entire timeline from the books and hopefully shed some light on why they're such an amazing pairing. I will not be counting The Cursed Child though, because, well, it's awful. It goes against everything established in the original series, and most fans just ignore it, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Now that I've said that, let's get the video started. The story of their relationship begins on September 1st, 1991, the first day they met. Harry saw Ginny first as she was walking with her mother, and Ginny caught sight of Harry for the first time when he approached them. In the film, Ginny says, "Good luck." But in the book, she did not say this. It's sort of an important part of their relationship that she literally did not speak to or in front of Harry until a certain moment, which I'll get into in a bit. Harry later saw more of Ginny's personality as he looked out the train window and eavesdropped on the Weasley family. After having met the twins Fred and George, he saw them go over and tell the rest of the Weasley clan that the boy they had helped earlier was none other than the famous Harry Potter, aka the boy who lived. When finding this out, Harry heard Ginny ask her mom if she could go on the train to see him, but Mrs. Weasley sternly said no. Moving forward 9 months, the next time Ginny and Harry interacted was at King's Cross after term ended. When Ginny saw Harry, she pointed at him squealing, "Harry Potter, look mom, I can see." But her mother cut her off, telling her to be quiet, and told Ginny it was rude to point. Once Harry came over to talk with Mrs. Weasley, Ginny stayed quiet, not saying a word. And her not speaking in front of him would be a theme for quite some time. After their second meeting, Ginny developed a huge crush on Harry, and over the next 2.5 months during summer break, she did nothing but talk about him. At the end of August, Harry arrived at the Burrow, which Ginny did not know, and when she came down that morning, she saw Harry, became scared, squealed, and ran out of the room. Ron said to Harry,
"Ginny, she's been talking about your summer."
And Fred joked, saying that she wanted Harry's autograph. Later that day, Ron gave Harry a tour of the house, and when they passed Ginny's room, her door was open. Harry made eye contact with her for only a second before she slammed her door shut. Ron then told Harry how weird it was for her to be this shy, because normally she never shut up. Harry spent another week at the Burrow, and during that time, Ginny never spoke a word in front of him. On top of that, when they were in the same room, she became very prone to knocking things over. Just one example of this was when Harry came down to the kitchen, and Ginny became so flustered that she knocked her porridge bowl to the floor. She dove under the table to clean it up, and she emerged with her face glowing bright red. Harry was nice though, and he acted as though he had not seen any of this. When it was time to go to Diagon Alley to get school supplies, Mrs. Weasley mentioned Ginny getting her things, and Harry turned to Ginny and asked excitedly if she was starting at Hogwarts as well. She did not reply, but her face went bright red, and embarrassingly, she put her elbow in the butter dish. While in Diagon Alley, Harry was pulled in by Gilderoy Lockhart, and afterwards, Draco came over and said,
"Famous Harry Potter. Can't even go to a bookshop without making the front page."
Ginny then spoke in front of Harry for the first time, saying, "Leave him alone, he didn't want all that." And Draco replied saying,
"Oh look, Potter, you got yourself a girlfriend."
And I mean, he's not wrong, he's just 4.5 years early. On that same day, Ginny acquired a diary courtesy of Lucius Malfoy, which unbeknownst to her contained a part of Voldemort's soul. Once she got to school, she began to write in it, and to her surprise, it wrote back. She opened up to Voldemort, telling him that she liked Harry, but didn't think he would ever like her back. As Ginny poured her soul out to Voldemort though, the piece of Voldemort in the diary grew stronger, and eventually he was able to possess Ginny's body to open the Chamber of Secrets. After several months of blackouts that only happened when attacks took place, she began to distrust the diary and she tried to get rid of it. Fast forward to Valentine's Day, Gilderoy Lockhart arranged for dwarves dressed like Cupid to give out valentines for students, and Ginny decided to send one to Harry. The dwarf cornered Harry, and she watched as the dwarf read her valentine in front of everyone. His eyes are as green as a fresh pickled toad. His hair is as dark as a blackboard. I wish he was mine, he's really divine, the hero who conquered the Dark Lord. Afterwards, Draco screamed out to Ginny, saying that Harry did not like her valentine. This made Ginny cover her face and run into her classroom. Before running away though, Ginny realized that Harry had the diary she had gotten rid of, and she became terrified. She was scared the diary would tell Harry all of her secrets, not just her feelings for him, but the fact that she thought she opened the Chamber of Secrets, which she wrote to Voldemort several times. Desperate, she raided Harry's dorm and stole the diary back.
Tom Riddle's diary is gone.
Fast forward another 4 months, Ginny was taken down to the chamber while possessed by Voldemort.
Who is it that the monster's taken, Minerva? Ginny Weasley?
After finding this out, Harry thought to himself that it was probably the worst day of his life. He was determined to save Ginny though, and he risked his life to do so. When he saw her body in the chamber, he ran to her, begging her to wake up.
Ginny! Oh, Ginny, please don't be dead. Wake up! Wake up!
Finding out that Voldemort was draining the life out of Ginny so he could create a new body for himself, Harry sprang into action, defeated a basilisk, and destroyed the diary, all to ensure that Ginny was safe and alive. When Ginny woke up and saw the dead basilisk, the blood all over Harry, and the diary in Harry's hand, she burst into tears, telling Harry everything.
It was me. I swear, I didn't mean to. Riddle made me.
Fawkes then healed Harry's wounds and took all of them out of the chamber. When they met up with Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, Dumbledore, and McGonagall, Harry told them the whole story of what happened, but he protected Ginny by leaving out all of the parts that involved her opening the chamber. Luckily, Dumbledore knew she did not open the chamber willingly, and he did not punish Ginny, but actually awarded both Harry and Ron instead. After all of this, Ginny felt more comfortable around Harry, as she was now able to talk in front of him, telling Harry, Ron, Hermione, and the twins about Percy's girlfriend. However, she still could not talk directly to Harry, she could only talk to others in front of him. Ginny did talk to Harry directly in the chamber, but that was a special situation with a lot of nerves and a lot of fear, so I don't really count that. Fast forward 2 months, Ginny and Harry saw each other again at the Leaky Cauldron, and Ginny seemed even more embarrassed around him than usual, which Harry believed was because he had saved her life mere months before this. Ginny was able to say hello to Harry this time though, which she had never done before, but she could only do this when they were surrounded by other people. So that's some progress. A few days later, when they entered platform 9 3/4, Percy announced that he saw his girlfriend, and Ginny and Harry had a little moment as they caught each other's eyes, then both turned away to hide their laughter. Fast forward 2 months to November 1993, Harry fell off his broom during a Quidditch match, and while in the hospital, Ginny showed up blushing furiously, and she gave him a get well soon card that she had made herself. Moving forward 9 months, we come to the summer of 1994 when Harry arrived at the Burrow. When she saw him, Ginny smiled at Harry, but when he smiled back, Ginny's face went bright red. Ginny made pretty big strides though, as she was able to speak a full sentence directly to Harry and not just to the entire room, telling him about Fred and George's joke merchandise and how she had named Ron Zao Pigwidgeon. But when she said this, Ron and Hermione were there as well, so Ginny had still not talked to Harry one-on-one besides in the chamber. But again, I don't really count that. Fast forward another 4 months to December 1994, the Yule Ball was just around the corner. When Harry told Ron and Ginny that he had just asked Cho Chang to be his date, the smile Ginny had on her face from laughing at Ron immediately vanished. She was clearly upset and jealous, but fortunately for her, Cho said no, as she was already going with Cedric Diggory. Ron then desperately came up with a plan so that he and Harry wouldn't be dateless, and he said that Ginny should go to the ball with Harry. Ginny went red though, saying she couldn't, as she was already going with Neville Longbottom. She looked extremely miserable, clearly seeing that she had missed her chance to be Harry's date, and as she got up to leave, her head was bowed. Not long after that, Ginny had a heart-to-heart with Hermione about Ginny liking Harry. Hermione told her to relax around Harry, because so far, he had not seen the real her. He only knew the nervous and shy girl that was Ron's little sister. On top of that, Hermione suggested she start seeing other boys, and maybe then, Harry would take an interest in her. Ginny ran with this, and not being Harry's date to the Yule Ball led to Ginny meeting Michael Corner. The two really hit it off, and moving forward to June 1995, Ginny and Michael began dating. This changed everything for Ginny, as she was now able to be her true self in front of Harry. Moving forward 2 months, we get to August 1995. Harry arrived at Grimmauld Place and Ginny said, "Oh, hello Harry, I thought I heard your voice," which is a big step up from the last greeting we saw her give Harry. Shortly after arriving, Harry got angry about all of the articles slandering his name, and though he said this in front of Ron, Hermione, Fred, and George, Ginny was the one who stepped up, validating his feelings and calming him down. When Harry told everyone he was cleared of all charges after his hearing, Ginny along with Fred and George started doing a kind of war dance chanting, "He got off, he got off," which probably showed Harry more of Ginny's personality than he had ever seen before. Fast forward to September 1st, Harry boarded the Hogwarts Express with Ginny, and because Ron and Hermione were going to the prefix carriage, Harry and Ginny decided to find a seat together. However, they still have not had that moment alone with just the two of them, which crazily has not happened in the series yet besides in the chamber, but again, I don't really count that. Instead, they ended up sitting with Neville Longbottom and Luna Lovegood. Fast forward to October 1995, Ginny showed up to the first DA meeting in the Hog's Head with her boyfriend Michael, but at this point, Harry did not know she was dating anyone. It's not until after the meeting that he found this out from Hermione. Ron voiced that he thought she liked Harry, but Hermione replied saying Ginny used to fancy Harry, but she gave up on him months ago. She then looked at Harry and added, "Not that she doesn't like you, of course." Harry thought to himself that he did not find this conversation very interesting, as he was too busy thinking about Cho Chang. However, he did put together that was why Ginny could all of a sudden talk to him. Now that she was dating someone else, she wasn't as nervous in front of Harry. Fast forward another month to November 1995, Umbridge banned Harry from ever playing Quidditch again for beating up Malfoy, and when he found out that Ginny was the Seeker who replaced him, he was in shock. This was the first time he realized he and Ginny had something in common, and according to Angelina, the captain of the team, she was really good. Following Mr. Weasley being attacked, everyone went to St. Mungo's Hospital to visit him, and while there, the kids overheard Moody saying that Harry was possessed by Voldemort during the attack. After hearing this, Harry distanced himself from everyone, but Ginny along with Ron and Hermione planned an intervention. When Harry tried to shut them down, Ron and Hermione backed off, but Ginny did quite the opposite. She told him he was being stupid for distancing himself, and she pointed out that she too had been possessed by Voldemort, so she could tell him how it felt. Harry turned to look at her and said, "I forgot." And Ginny replied saying, "Lucky you." Harry apologized to her, and taking all the information they had, Ginny told Harry it did not sound like he was being possessed, which made Harry feel so much better. Fast forward to February 1996, Harry watched Ginny play Quidditch for the first time, and he was amazed. Though they lost, Ginny beat the other Seeker to the snitch with an amazing grab. At the after-game party in the Gryffindor common room, Harry went up to her and said, "Nice catch." Ginny said it was lucky, and said that once Harry was back to playing, she would switch to Chaser. Harry said he had a lifelong ban though, but Ginny smirked and said that was only true if Umbridge was at the school. There was a big difference. That night while in bed, Harry's thoughts drifted, eventually landing on how impressed he was with Ginny for catching the snitch. Late one Sunday evening, Harry was sitting alone in the library, and to his surprise, Ginny came in and sat down with him. For the first time besides the Chamber of Secrets interaction, the two were totally alone. No friends, no family, and no surrounding party like their last interaction. It was just the two of them. Ginny said he seemed down lately, and thinking it was about his falling out with Cho, she said to just talk to her, but Harry cut her off, saying it wasn't about Cho, which most likely made Ginny feel good, though she would never voice that. Harry told her he wanted to talk to Sirius, but he knew he couldn't. Ginny replied saying that if that's what he wanted, she could try and make that happen for him. At this, Harry immediately felt more hopeful. This was a key moment in their relationship, because it was not only the first time they were alone together, but Ginny made Harry realize that she cared, and she gave him hope and cheered him up when he was down. It was the first time he and Ginny ever had a moment like this, a moment where Ginny wasn't just his best friend's sister, but an actual friend. Sure enough, Ginny talked to Fred and George hoping they could help Harry talk to Sirius, and because of Ginny, Harry was able to talk to his godfather using the Floo network. Moving on to May 1996, in the next Quidditch match, Ginny faced off against Ravenclaw Seeker, who happened to be Cho Chang. Ginny was able to outdo Cho as she flew underneath her and grabbed the snitch before Cho could. Cho was so mad afterwards that she began to cry, and when she landed, she slammed her broom on the ground in frustration. Later that day, Ginny got angry with her boyfriend Michael for being a sore loser, as he was a Ravenclaw, the team Ginny had just beaten. Ginny did not put up with this, and she dumped him right then and there. And funnily enough, he went on to date Cho Chang. So Ginny's ex started dating Harry's ex. Seems fitting. Going forward a month to June 1996, Ginny overheard Harry yelling in a classroom, and when she walked in accompanied by Luna, Harry shut her down. This made Ginny raise her eyebrows, and she said she was only wondering if she could help. Ultimately, she did end up helping, and moving forward a few hours, Ginny said she was going to the ministry with the trio, but Harry said no because she was too young. Ginny then pointed out that she was 3 years older than he was when he fought Voldemort for the Philosopher's Stone, and after some more convincing, Harry allowed her to come. They stood by each other's side during the Battle of the Department of Mysteries, and when Bellatrix threatened to torture Ginny, Harry stepped in front of her to guard her. Both made it out alive, and their bond was even stronger than before, having survived such an ordeal. On the train ride home that year, Ginny told Harry and Ron that she had broken up with Michael and said he was now dating Cho, and hearing this made Harry realize he was totally over his ex. Ron told Ginny she should pick a better boyfriend next time, and as he said this, he looked at Harry. However, this idea was shot down, as Ginny told both of them she was now dating their roommate Dean Thomas. So now we get to the Half-Blood Prince, and I want to make this very clear. This video is based on the books, not the films. There are many differences when it comes to this book and movie, especially when talking about Harry and Ginny's relationship. There's a lot that the film added that never happened in the book, and on screen, there were many things left out. So going forward another month, we come to July 1996 when Harry arrived at the Burrow. The first morning Harry was there, Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ginny were talking about Fleur, whom Ginny had nicknamed Flem. And when Harry defended Fleur, Ginny said, "I suppose you like the way Flem says, 'Harry,' do you?" And Harry immediately wished he hadn't said anything. Ginny and Harry hung out a lot that summer, and during that time, they became much closer, they became more comfortable around each other, and after a month at the Burrow, their bond was stronger than ever. Moving to September 1st when they boarded the train, Harry asked Ginny if she wanted to find a compartment, but she shut him down saying she was going to meet her boyfriend Dean. As she walked away, Harry felt a strange twinge of annoyance, and watching her leave, he noticed her long red hair dancing behind her. He had become so used to always being with her over the summer that he had forgotten he didn't hang out with her that much while at school. He then realized he was surrounded by mesmerized girls, all of whom liked him now that he was branded as the chosen one, but he ignored all of them, only thinking of Ginny. At this point, Harry clearly liked Ginny, but he himself did not know this yet. The annoyance he felt about her being with Dean was jealousy, and watching her walk away while ignoring all of the other girls shows that he only has eyes for Ginny. They weren't apart for long though, as Harry and Ginny were reunited on the train when they went to the Slug Club. When Slughorn mentioned Harry's Boy Who Lives story, Zabini gave a purposeful cough, and Ginny shot back at him saying that he had no talent other than posing. This was a moment that greatly reminisces the first time Ginny ever spoke in front of Harry, that time standing up to Malfoy though. A little bit into term, Ginny overheard the trio talking, and when she walked over, Harry recognized her flowery smell. A few weeks later, Harry held Quidditch tryouts as he was now the captain, and Ginny's performance left him in awe. One day while talking with Ron and Hermione in the common room, Harry got distracted at the sight of Ginny playing with her Pygmy Puff, and it was hard for him to look away. When it came time for their first Hogsmeade trip, Harry invited Ginny to join them, but he was let down when she said she was going with Dean. While in the village, Harry's mind slipped to jealous thoughts of Ginny and Dean in Matty Puttyfoot's tea shop where all of the Hogwarts couples went. This was a thought that made him scowl as he bowed his head and trudged on. After Katie Bell's incident, Harry had to find a new chaser for the Gryffindor Quidditch team, and to his annoyance, he had to let Dean Thomas, Ginny's boyfriend, on the team as he was the best choice. One night after practice, Harry and Ron accidentally walked in on Ginny and Dean making out, and Harry was flooded with emotions. He was mad, upset, sad, and most of all, jealous. He thought to himself that he wanted to jinx Dean, and he stood by as Ron told them off, which pleased Harry. However, when a streak of orange came out of Ron's wand and almost hit Ginny, Harry defended her, slamming Ron on the wall and telling him not to be stupid. That night while lying in bed, Harry tried to convince himself that these feelings were entirely elder brotherly. However, an image of him kissing Ginny came to mind, and he realized for the first time that he really did like Ginny. Because of Ron though, he knew she was out of bounds. He did not want to do anything that would jeopardize their friendship. Over the next few weeks, Harry kept dreaming about Ginny, and he thought to himself he was lucky Ron could not perform Legislamancy, otherwise known as the act of reading one's mind. When it came time for Slughorn's Christmas party, Harry wanted to ask Ginny to go with him, but obviously he could not do this, as she was still dating Dean and he still feared what Ron might think. Instead, he asked Luna Lovegood to go with him. The next time Harry saw Ginny in the Great Hall, she stopped and told Harry she was glad he was taking Luna, and she then went to sit with Dean. Harry tried to feel pleased that Ginny felt that way, but he couldn't quite manage it, especially while watching her with Dean. Over Christmas break at the Burrow, Ginny leaned over to get a maggot out of Harry's hair, which was courtesy of Kreacher the house elf, and as she did, Harry felt goosebumps erupt up his neck, which had nothing to do with the maggot. When they returned to Hogwarts, Hermione asked Ginny if she wanted to join herself and Harry at dinner, but Ginny said she was meeting Dean, and Harry was very shocked and a little glad that she did not seem very enthusiastic about that. During the next Quidditch match, Harry was knocked unconscious, and while he was in the hospital wing, Ginny came to visit him. Upon waking up and being told that Ginny had stopped by, Harry imagined a scene in which Ginny cried over his lifeless body, confessing her deep affection to him, all while Ron gave the two of them his blessing. When Harry left the hospital wing, Hermione told him that Ginny and Dean got into a fight, which made Harry's heart leap. When Harry asked what they fought about, Hermione said Ginny was angry at Dean for laughing about Harry getting knocked out. Hermione then asked him why he was so interested, and Harry tried to play it off, saying he didn't want his Quidditch team to get messed up. Hermione didn't buy it though, and she looked at him suspiciously. When Harry drank his liquid luck, it helped him with more than just getting the memory from Slughorn. As he walked through the portrait hole under his invisibility cloak, he passed Ginny and Dean and accidentally brushed Ginny. Thinking it was Dean who touched her, Ginny yelled at him, saying she was capable of walking through on her own. This little moment led to a fight, and that fight led to them breaking up. When Hermione told Harry the next morning, she had a knowing look in her eye, almost as though she knew Harry was delighted by this news. At the next Quidditch practice, Harry noticed that Ginny did not seem at all upset about her breakup. On the contrary, she was the life of the team. She and Harry joked around, and Harry loved the excuse to look at Ginny more. But he chanced a few more glances than he should have, which led to him getting whacked by the bludger a few times. After practice, Harry had a battle inside of his head: Ron or Ginny. He remembered Ron's expression when he had seen Dean kissing Ginny, and he was scared Ron would be furious with him if he asked Ginny out. Even if he didn't ask her out though, he still could not help himself from talking to her, laughing with her, and walking back from practice with her. Harry just wanted to be alone with Ginny, and he even thought about asking Hermione for help to do so, but he decided not to. He could tell that Hermione knew, as she would often give him a smug look when she caught him staring at Ginny or laughing extra hard at her jokes. Harry also began to get nervous that Ginny would be asked out by someone else, as both he and Ron agreed that she was too pretty and too popular for her own good. In May 1997, Harry hurt Draco with the Sectum Sempra spell, and afterwards, Hermione began to lecture him about it. Ginny stood up for Harry though, brutally telling Hermione off, saying she did not know what she was talking about. This shocked Harry because Hermione and Ginny had always gotten along well. But this shows how protective Ginny is of Harry, which we had seen from very early on in their relationship timeline. Harry could not play in the Quidditch final, as he had detention with Snape for his fight with Draco. But when he went to the common room after the match, Ginny celebrated their victory as she ran toward Harry and threw her arms around him. Without thinking, Harry just leaned in and kissed her in front of everybody, including Dean, who smashed his glass, Hermione, who was beaming, and Ron, who had a look of shock on his face. When he and Ginny separated, Harry made eye contact with Ron, who gave a tiny jerk of his head, which Harry understood to mean, well, if you must. After the kiss, Ginny and Harry left the common room to go on a long walk through the Hogwarts grounds. During that walk, they put it all out there, and the two decided to start dating. Within a few days, everyone was gossiping about the two of them, but Harry was newly and happily impervious to gossip. One day while sitting in the common room, Ginny was leaning on Harry's legs, and she told the trio that when Romilda Vane asked if Harry had a hippogriff tattoo on his chest, she said it was actually a Hungarian horntail, which made Harry laugh. Moving to June, Harry and Ginny's time together was unfortunately restricted due to Ginny studying for her OWLs. On top of that, Harry still had detention every Saturday because of his fight with Draco, which cut their already limited time down even more. One night while she was studying, Harry sat in the common room missing her, but he filled the void by thinking of the wonderful hour-long lunch the two had earlier that day by the lake. Harry eventually went on a mission with Dumbledore, but before leaving, he took the rest of his liquid luck and ensured that Ginny, along with Ron and Hermione, drank it, as he had a feeling that something bad would happen that night. Sure enough, Harry was right. The Battle of the Astronomy Tower took place that night at Hogwarts when Death Eaters showed up. While Harry was running through the battle, he saw Ginny fighting a Death Eater, who Harry jinxed backwards to protect Ginny. Ginny tried to talk to him, but he ignored her and ran after Snape, who he had just watched kill Dumbledore. The two saw each other after the battle ended though. Ginny went beside Harry, took his hand, and pulled him away from Dumbledore's dead body. On their way to the hospital wing, Ginny told Harry what happened to Bill, who was mauled by the werewolf Greyback, and he squeezed her hand more tightly as her voice trembled. After that night, Harry and Ginny, along with Ron and Hermione, spent all of their time together. In one of the lighter moments, Ginny joked, saying that she had come to terms with Fleur marrying her brother Bill, and when Harry said she wasn't that bad, Ginny raised her eyebrows at him, and Harry played it off saying that she was ugly though, which made Ginny giggle. Moving forward to Dumbledore's funeral, when Harry looked over at Ginny, she met his gaze with the same look she had given him right before their first kiss. Harry pulled Ginny aside and said that the last few weeks had been amazing, but that they could not be together anymore. Ginny responded, asking if it was for some stupid noble reason, and Harry confirmed this, saying he had some things to do on his own. Ginny did not cry, but just looked at him. Harry broke the silence, saying that Voldemort might use her to get to him, just as he had done in the Chamber of Secrets. Ginny told him that she did not care about the danger though. However, Harry said that he did. Ginny then looked out over the lake and said she had never given up on Harry. She always liked him even when dating other guys. She explained her heart-to-heart with Hermione, saying she learned to relax in front of him, and just as Hermione had predicted, Harry took an interest in her when she did. After some silence, Harry said he wished he asked Ginny out sooner. They could have had much more time together, months, maybe even years. Ginny responded saying that Harry was too busy saving the wizarding world though. She then said, "I can't say I'm surprised. I knew this would happen in the end. I knew you wouldn't be happy unless you were hunting Voldemort. Maybe that's why I like you so much." Harry could not bear to hear this, and he knew that if he stayed any longer, he would forget about his mission and just stay with Ginny. However, he knew that was not an option. He knew that he was the only one who could take Voldemort down. Harry got up and turned his back on Ginny, never looking back. Moving forward to the end of July, the next time Harry and Ginny saw each other was when Harry returned from the Battle of Seven Potters. Harry asked Ginny to come outside with him, and as they looked up in the sky waiting for the others to return, Ginny took Harry's hand. The next day, when setting the table together, Ginny told Harry that Mrs. Weasley wanted the trio to leave their mission behind and stay at the Burrow, and Harry asked in frustration who she expected to kill Voldemort if they didn't do it. He regretted saying this immediately though, as Ginny's face whitened. She said, "So it's true, that's what you're trying to do?" Harry tried to say he was joking, but she didn't buy it. They stared at each other, and there was something more than shock in Ginny's expression. Harry then realized that this was the first time they had been alone since those stolen hours in secluded corners of the Hogwarts grounds, and he was sure she was remembering those same memories too. They were snapped out of this, however, when others walked in. That night at dinner, Harry found himself crammed beside Ginny, and the unsaid things from their last interaction made him wish there were more people in between them. When Fleur's family arrived, her little sister batted her eyelashes at Harry, which made Ginny loudly clear her throat. On Harry's birthday, Ginny asked him to come to her room for a moment. Ginny looked into his eyes and said, "Happy 17th birthday." She then said she didn't know what to get him, as there wasn't much he could take with him on his mission. Instead, she leaned in closer and said she was going to give him something to remember her by. She then pulled him in and kissed him as she had never kissed him before. It was very passionate until Ron slammed the door open. Being interrupted, Ginny told Harry happy birthday one more time, and she then turned her back on him and walked out just as he had turned his back on her at the funeral. Harry thought she might have tears in her eyes, but with Ron there, he could not do anything to comfort her. Afterwards, Ron scolded Harry for kissing her and sending her mixed signals, saying she was really cut up about the breakup, but Harry said he was too. He then said Ron knew why he ended it, and it wasn't because he wanted to. He added to his defense, saying that Ginny wasn't expecting them to get married or anything, but as Harry said that last part, he stopped. He imagined Ginny marrying some stranger, and it hit him. Her future was free, whereas his, he could see nothing but Voldemort ahead. Ginny did not seek him out for another one-on-one meeting, and she hardly showed that they had even had a moment. On the day of Bill and Fleur's wedding, Harry was awestruck at how beautiful Ginny looked. Later on, Ginny's Aunt Muriel said that her dress was too low cut, and seeing that Harry heard this, she turned around grinning and winked at him. This made Harry remember his time alone with her on the school grounds, which at this point felt so long ago. Later on, Harry was sitting with Victor Krum, though thanks to Polyjuice Potion, he was disguised as a Weasley cousin, and when Krum pointed Ginny out saying she was very good looking, Harry told him she was dating someone he would not want to mess with. When Death Eaters arrived, Harry had to leave the wedding abruptly, and he did not get a chance to say goodbye to Ginny. Over the next few months while on his mission, Harry found himself taking out the Marauder's map simply to stare at Ginny's name. Seeing she was asleep one night, he wondered whether the intensity with which he gazed at her dot might break into her sleep, that she would somehow know he was thinking about her, hoping she was alright. Right before the Battle of Hogwarts, Harry's heart leapt when Ginny arrived, but his stomach also sunk. She gave him a radiant smile, and he had forgotten how beautiful she was. However, he had never been less pleased to see her, as he knew that danger was on its way. When Cho Chang volunteered to go to the Ravenclaw common room with Harry, Ginny stood up and said no, instead having Luna go with him. When it came time for the fight, Mrs. Weasley refused to let Ginny participate, telling her she had to go home. Ginny began to tear up, and she made eye contact with Harry. Harry shook his head no though, not wanting her to be in danger, and she turned away from him bitterly. Ultimately though, she did make her way into the battle. When Harry was on his way to the forest to meet Voldemort, he saw Ginny while under his invisibility cloak. He wanted Ginny to know that he was there, to shout out to her. He wanted her to stop him, to drag him back. He walked on though, and as he got closer to Ginny, she turned around, somehow sensing his presence. Harry ignored this though and walked on to his demise. Right before Harry was hit by the killing curse, the last thing he thought about was Ginny, her blazing look, and the feel of her lips on his. When Voldemort came back with Harry's supposed dead body, Ginny cried out hysterically.
No! No!
Once the battle resumed and Ginny saw Harry reveal himself, her heart leapt and she watched Harry defeat Voldemort once and for all. Afterwards, she was the first person besides Ron and Hermione to run to him and hug him. Following the battle, Harry and Ginny got back together, Harry now knowing she was no longer in danger. The two eventually got married, and Ginny Weasley became Ginny Potter. The two supported each other's careers, Harry being an Auror, and Harry supporting Ginny as she pursued a professional Quidditch career playing for the Holyhead Harpies. Once they decided to have kids though, Ginny retired from Quidditch to be a stay-at-home mom. They had 3 children, James, Albus, and Lily. Once the kids got a bit older, Harry again supported Ginny's next career as she became a Quidditch correspondent for the Daily Prophet. Harry brought their kids to the 2014 Quidditch World Cup, which Ginny was covering. Rita Skeeter was there as well, and after saying that Harry was publicity hungry, Ginny took matters into her own hand to protect Harry just as she had done so many times before this, and not long after that, Rita was taken unaccountably ill thanks to a jinx from Ginny. This again shows how protective she is of Harry, which we've seen from the very start. In 2017, Harry and Ginny took their kids to platform 9 3/4 for what would be their middle child Albus's first year. When their son James came up to Harry, Ginny, Ron, and Hermione, he told them that he saw Teddy Lupin and Bill and Fleur's daughter Victoire Weasley kissing, and when Ginny realized that her son interrupted them, she said he was just like Ron, referring to the time Ron burst into her room while she was kissing Harry. As Harry and Ginny watched the train start to leave, Ginny told Harry that Albus would be alright, and Harry replied saying, "I know he will." As I said at the beginning of the video, Harry and Ginny are my favorite couple of all time, and I hope I was able to shed some light on why myself and so many others love this pairing, even if the movies messed them up. Looking at their timeline, Ginny started out as just Ron's little sister, but she went on to be the love of Harry's life. And as for Ginny, Harry was a crush who she never thought would like him back. Fast forward a few years, and they're one of the strongest couples in the Harry Potter series. Harry and Ginny are perfect together. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can follow me on Instagram to see more of my personal life, like my cute dog Loki, and some behind the scenes movie flame stuff. I also do similar content on TikTok and Twitter that I do here on this channel, so if you like what I do here, check them out. All the handles are right below me, and links are in the description. Over here are my wonderful patrons. If you want to be featured on the next video, plus get a few other perks, become a patron today. As always, if you liked the video, hit that like button and subscribe, and look out for more great movie flame videos on the way.